Listen carefully to what I say. There is a frequency, a vibration, a state of consciousness that I call the frequency of miracles. It is not some mystical, far-off realm accessible only to saints and sages. It is your natural inheritance as a human being created in the image and likeness of God. Right now, in this very moment, miracles are occurring all around you. The question is not whether miracles exist, they do. The question is whether you have tuned your consciousness to receive them. Think of your consciousness as a radio. A radio sitting silent in a room is capable of receiving countless stations, countless frequencies broadcasting simultaneously through the air. But until you turn the dial to a specific frequency, you hear nothing. The music is there, the voices are there, the programs are broadcasting, but your radio remains silent because it is not tuned in. Your consciousness operates on the same principle. Right now, the frequency of miracles is broadcasting constantly. Every solution to every problem you face, every desire of your heart, every dream you have ever entertained, all of these exist as frequencies in the infinite ocean of consciousness. But you must tune in. How do you tune into the frequency of miracles? You do it through assumption. You do it by assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You do it by daring to believe that what you desire is not only possible but inevitable. When you assume that you already possess what you seek, when you feel it so vividly in your imagination that it becomes more real to you than your present circumstances, you have tuned into the frequency of miracles, and miracles must follow. Let me share with you a fundamental truth that will shake the very foundation of how you have been living your life. Your imagination is not some playful faculty for daydreaming. Your imagination is the creative power of the universe itself operating through you. When the Bible speaks of God creating the world, it is speaking of imagination. God imagined the world into existence. And you, being made in God's image, create your world through your imagination. Every single thing you see around you first existed in someone's imagination. The chair you sit in, the building you occupy, the clothes you wear, all of it was first imagined, then assumed to be real, then manifested in what you call the physical world. But here's where most people go wrong. They imagine what they want, but then they immediately begin to deny it with their assumptions. They imagine prosperity, then assume they are poor. They imagine health, then assume they are sick. They imagine love, then assume they are unworthy. This is like tuning into a beautiful piece of music for a moment, then immediately switching to static. You must learn to hold the frequency. You must learn to persist in your assumption regardless of what your senses tell you. Your senses are not your guide to truth. Your senses report the world as it has been, not as it is becoming. When you plant a seed in the ground, your senses tell you there is nothing there but dirt. But the gardener who understands the law of growth continues to water and tend that soil, knowing that what is invisible to the senses is more real than what is visible. The seed contains within itself the full-grown tree, complete with branches, leaves, and fruit. Your assumption is the seed. And when you plant it in the fertile soil of your consciousness through feeling and imagination, it must grow into your physical experience. This is the frequency of miracles. The unwavering assumption that what you desire in imagination is more real than what you experience with your senses. When you maintain this assumption with the persistence of the gardener watering his unseen seed, the entire universe conspires to bring about its manifestation. People will appear in your life as if by magic to help you. Circumstances will arrange themselves in ways that seem impossible. Doors will open where there appear to be only walls. This is not supernatural. This is the natural operation of consciousness when it is properly directed. But you must understand that assumption without feeling is powerless. It is not enough to think about what you want. You must feel what it would be like to have it. You must enter into the joy, the relief, the satisfaction, the peace that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. This feeling is your tuning fork. This feeling is what adjusts your consciousness to the frequency of miracles. Let me tell you about a woman who came to see me. She had been married for 15 years to a man who drank heavily and treated her with contempt. She had tried everything, pleading, threatening, leaving temporarily involving family members. Nothing worked. She came to me broken and desperate, convinced that her situation was hopeless. I told her what I am telling you now. There is no hopeless situation, only people who think hopelessly about situations. I instructed her to stop seeing her husband as he was, and to begin seeing him as she wanted him to be. Every night before sleep, she was to imagine him coming home sober, speaking to her with kindness and respect, taking her in his arms with genuine love and affection. She was to feel the reality of this scene until it produced in her the actual emotions she would experience if it were true. She was to persist in this assumption, regardless of his daily behavior. For 3 months, nothing seemed to change. In fact, his drinking appeared to get worse. But she persisted in her nightly ritual of assumption, feeling with increasing vividness what it would be like to be truly loved and cherished by a sober, transformed husband. Then, quite suddenly, everything changed. He began to refuse drinks offered by his friends. He started coming home earlier. He began speaking to her gently and buying her small gifts. Within 6 months, he had become the loving husband she had been imagining. The miracle was not in changing him, the miracle was in changing her assumption about him. When she tuned into the frequency of a loving marriage, that frequency manifested itself in her experience. This is the power I am revealing to you. You are not trying to manipulate or control other people. You are not trying to force circumstances to bend to your will. You are simply tuning into the frequency of what you desire and allowing that frequency to manifest in your world. The people and circumstances in your life are merely reflecting back to you the frequency you are broadcasting through your... Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking of all the reasons why this cannot work for you. You are thinking of your past failures, your current limitations, your lack of education or money or connections. You are thinking that miracles happen to other people, but not to you. Let me address this directly and firmly. These thoughts are the very static that prevents you from tuning into the frequency of miracles. Every excuse you make, every limitation you accept, every reason you give for why you cannot have what you desire is simply your consciousness tuned to the frequency of lack and limitation. You have become so accustomed to this frequency that you think it is reality. But limitation is not reality. Limitation is simply one of many possible frequencies available to your consciousness. The frequency of abundance, of health, of love, of success, of joy, these are equally available to you at every moment. The Bible tells us that with God, all things are possible. But who is this God? This God is your own wonderful human imagination. When you imagine lovingly, when you assume thankfully, when you feel gratefully, you are operating as God in your world. There is no power outside of you that can grant or deny your desires. There is no authority higher than your own consciousness. You are the author of your experience, the director of your life's drama, the artist painting your world with the brush of assumption. But remember, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot assume health while feeling sick. You cannot assume wealth while feeling poor. You cannot assume love while feeling rejected. You must choose which frequency you will tune into and remain faithful to that choice regardless of appearances. This is what I mean by living by faith rather than by sight. Faith is simply fidelity to your assumption in the face of contradictory evidence from your senses. When Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, they complained constantly because their senses told them they were in a barren wilderness with no food and no water. But Moses knew that they were being led to a promised land flowing with milk and honey. Moses represents your imagination holding firm to the promise despite the evidence of the senses. The Israelites represent your doubts and fears that arise when your physical circumstances have not yet conformed to your assumption. You must be Moses in your own life, leading your doubting thoughts out of the Egypt of lack and limitation into the promised land of your fulfilled desires. This process requires what I call a radical revision of your entire concept of how life works. You have been taught that you must work hard, struggle, compete, and fight for what you want. You have been taught that you are at the mercy of economic conditions, other people's decisions, genetic inheritance, and countless other external factors. This teaching has kept you imprisoned in a world of effects, forever trying to change conditions, instead of changing the consciousness that creates conditions. But when you tune into the frequency of miracles, you discover that you are not in the world is in you. Your consciousness is not contained within your physical body is contained within your consciousness. You are not a victim of circumstances. Circumstances are the shadows cast by your assumptions. When you change your assumptions, the shadows must change accordingly. This is why Jesus said that you must become as a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven. A child does not question whether something is possible. A child simply accepts what is told to them with complete faith. When you were a child, you could imagine yourself as a brave knight, a beautiful princess, or a mighty superhero. And for that moment, you were completely absorbed in that reality. You felt the feelings appropriate to that role. You experienced the joy and excitement of being that character. This is the consciousness you must recapture, not the naivety of childhood, but the ability to completely assume a new identity and feel it as real. The frequency of miracles is accessed through this childlike ability to assume and feel simultaneously. When you desire something, you must assume you already have it and feel the naturalness of having it. You must wear this assumption like a comfortable garment, not like a costume you are trying on. It must feel normal, natural, and inevitable to you that you possess what you desire. Let me give you a practical technique for tuning into this frequency. Tonight, when you go to bed before you fall asleep, imagine a scene that would naturally occur if your desire were already fulfilled. If you desire prosperity, imagine paying your bills with ease and joy. If you desire love, imagine someone telling you how much they cherish you. If you desire health, imagine someone congratulating you on how wonderful you look and feel. Make this scene short and simple, but make it vivid and natural. See it clearly, hear the words being spoken. Feel the emotions that would naturally arise from such a scene. Now here is the crucial part. You must not imagine this scene as something you hope will happen in the future. You must imagine it as something happening right now. Feel the reality of it. Let it produce in you the actual feelings you would have if it were occurring at this very moment. Repeat this scene over and over until you fall asleep, maintaining the feeling of its reality throughout. As you do this night after night, you will notice something remarkable beginning to happen. Your daytime thoughts will begin to align with your nightly assumptions. People will begin to treat you differently, though you cannot explain why. Opportunities will begin to appear that seem to come from nowhere. Circumstances will begin to shift in your favor in ways that appear coincidental but are actually the natural result of your changed consciousness. This is not magic, this is the science of consciousness. Just as tuning a radio to a specific frequency will always bring in the same station, tuning your consciousness to the frequency of miracles will always bring about miraculous results. The law is precise and reliable. It responds to your dominant assumption, not your temporary wishes or fleeting hopes. But you must persist. You must persist beyond the point where your senses tell you nothing is happening. You must persist beyond the point where other people tell you to be realistic. You must persist beyond the point where your own doubts arise to discourage you. The gardener does not dig up his seed after a week to see if it is growing. He knows that growth takes time and that his job is simply to maintain the proper conditions for growth. Your job is to maintain the proper conditions in consciousness for your miracle to manifest. These conditions are assumption and feeling. Assume you have what you desire and feel the naturalness of having it. Do this consistently, persistently, and with unwavering faith in the reliability of the law, and your miracle must appear in your world. Some of you may be wondering about timing. When will your miracle manifest? The answer is that it will manifest in the shortest possible time consistent with natural law. Sometimes this happens overnight. Sometimes it takes weeks or months. The timing depends not on external factors, but on the depth and consistency of your assumption. The more natural it feels to you to have what you desire, the more quickly it will appear in your experience. Do not make the mistake of looking for signs or trying to figure out how your miracle will come about. Your job is not to be the architect of the means. Your job is to be faithful to the end. The end is your desire fulfilled. The means by which it comes about is the responsibility of the infinite intelligence that operates through natural law. Trust that intelligence. It knows paths to your desire that your conscious mind cannot imagine. There was a man who desired to own a particular piece of property that was not for sale. The owner had repeatedly refused all offers and had stated publicly that he would never sell. Using the technique I have shared with you, this man began to imagine nightly that he was walking through the property as its owner, feeling the satisfaction and joy of possession. He persisted in this assumption for several months despite no apparent change in circumstances. Then, quite unexpectedly, the owner's financial situation changed due to circumstances completely unrelated to the property. He found himself in need of immediate cash and decided to sell the very property he had sworn never to part with. The man who had been assuming ownership was the first person he called, and the sale was completed at a price far below what the property was worth. The miracle was not in changing the owner's mind. The miracle was in creating the circumstances that would naturally lead to the desired outcome. This is how miracles work. They do not violate natural law, they fulfill it at a higher level. When you tune into the frequency of miracles through assumption and feeling, you set in motion a chain of natural events that must culminate in the fulfillment of your desire. From your limited perspective, these events may seem miraculous, but from the perspective of universal law, they are simply cause and effect, operating at the level of consciousness. Now, let me address those of you who have tried these principles before without success. You may be thinking that you have imagined and assumed and felt, but nothing happened. Let me ask you this: did you really assume? Or did you merely hope? Did you really feel the reality of your desire fulfilled? Or did you simply think about it? Did you persist in your assumption regardless of circumstances? Or did you allow contradictory evidence to shake your faith? True assumption is not hoping something will happen, it is knowing it. It has already happened in consciousness and must therefore appear in experience. True feeling is not emotional excitement about getting something, it is the calm naturalness of already having it. True persistence is not desperately clinging to a desire, it is peacefully maintaining an assumption because it feels right and natural to do so. Many people fail because they assume with their minds but not with their hearts. They think the right thoughts but continue to feel the old feelings. Remember, it is not your thoughts that create your reality. It is your dominant feeling state. You can think positive thoughts all day long, but if you feel poor, unloved, or unsuccessful, those feelings will outpicture themselves in your experience. This is why the feeling of the wish fulfilled is so crucial. This feeling is your direct connection to the frequency of miracles. When you can genuinely feel wealthy, you are tuned into the frequency of wealth. When you can genuinely feel loved, you are tuned into the frequency of love. When you can genuinely feel successful, you are tuned into the frequency of success. The physical manifestation is simply the natural consequence of maintaining that feeling state. But I must warn you about a common trap. Do not make the mistake of trying to feel grateful for what you do not yet have in your physical experience. Gratitude for things hoped for is not the same as the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Gratitude implies separation. You are grateful to someone else for giving you something. The feeling of the wish fulfilled implies possession. You feel grateful because you naturally feel appreciative of what you already have. When you truly assume you have something, gratitude arises naturally and spontaneously. You do not have to work to feel grateful. You simply feel appreciative because it is natural to feel appreciative of good things in your life. This is the difference between assuming and pretending. When you assume, the feeling is natural and effortless. When you pretend, the feeling is forced and artificial. The Bible says to pray believing you have already received and you shall have. This is not religious doctrine. This is practical instruction for tuning into the frequency of miracles. When you pray, you must pray from the consciousness of already having what you desire, not from the consciousness of lacking it. Your prayer should be a celebration of fulfillment, not a petition for something missing from your life. Let me tell you about a woman who desired to marry a specific man who seemed completely uninterested in her. Instead of praying for God to make him love her, she began to assume the feeling of being his beloved wife. She would imagine their wedding day, their honeymoon, their daily life together as a married couple. She would feel his love for her, his devotion to her, his joy in being her husband. At first, this felt artificial and forced because her senses told her he barely noticed her existence. But she persisted in her assumption, returning to it every night before sleep, and whenever she thought of him during the day. Gradually, the assumption began to feel more natural. She began to carry herself with the confidence of a woman who is deeply loved. She began to radiate the happiness of a woman whose heart's desire is fulfilled. The change in her was so pronounced that people began to comment on how beautiful and radiant she had become. And then, quite naturally, he began to notice her. He began to seek out her company. He began to fall in love with the confident, radiant woman she had become through her assumption. Within a year, they were married, and he often remarked that he felt as though he had been waiting his whole life to find her. The miracle was not in making him love her. The miracle was in tuning her consciousness to the frequency of being loved. When she maintained that frequency consistently, it had to manifest in her experience through the most natural and harmonious means possible. This brings me to an important point about free will. Some people worry that using these principles interferes with other people's free will. But you must understand that everyone in your world is simply reflecting back to you your own state of consciousness. When you change your assumptions about others, you do not override their free will. You simply move into a reality where they naturally express the qualities you are assuming they possess. In the infinite field of consciousness, there are versions of every person expressing every possible quality. The version you encounter depends entirely on your assumption about them. When you assume someone is kind, you encounter the kind version of that person. When you assume someone is hostile, you encounter the hostile version. You are not changing them, you are changing which version of them you experience by changing your own state of consciousness. This is why Jesus said to love your enemies. He was not giving you a moral commandment. He was giving you a practical technique for transforming your experience. When you assume the best about others, when you see them as loving and kind and generous, you tune into a frequency where they can only appear to you in that light. Your loving assumption about them creates the conditions in which they naturally express their highest qualities in relation to you. But this requires great discipline and persistence. It is easy to assume the best about others when they are treating you well. The test comes when they are treating you poorly. In those moments, you must remember that they are only reflecting your own assumptions back to you. If you want to change their behavior toward you, you must first change your assumption about them. This does not mean you should tolerate abuse or put yourself in dangerous situations. It means you should recognize that every person in your life is there as a result of your consciousness. And if you want different people or different behavior from the same people, you must tune into it to a different frequency through changed assumptions. The frequency of miracles is ultimately the frequency of love. When you assume the best about yourself and others, when you see everyone is capable of goodness and growth, when you believe in the possibility of change in any situation, you are operating from love. And love is the most powerful frequency in the universe, because love is the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. God is love, and you are made in God's image. Therefore, your fundamental nature is love. When you assume lovingly, you are operating from your true nature. When you assume fearfully or angrily or resentfully, you are operating from a false sense of yourself. The frequency of miracles is simply your consciousness returning to its natural state of love and expressing that love through your assumptions about yourself and your world. This is why I tell you that everything will change when you tune into the frequency of miracles. It is not just your external circumstances that will change, you will change. You will discover depths of power and possibility within yourself that you never knew existed. You will find yourself naturally confident, naturally joyful, naturally peaceful, because you will be living from your true nature rather than from the false beliefs and assumptions that have limited. As you practice these principles, you will begin to understand that there are no small miracles or large miracles. There are only miracles. Healing a headache is no different from healing cancer in terms of the consciousness required. Finding a parking space is no different from finding your life's work. Attracting $10 is no different from attracting $10 million. The only difference is in your assumptions about what is difficult or easy, possible or impossible. In the realm of consciousness, all things are equally possible. Because consciousness is the substance from which all things are made. When you truly grasp this truth, you will approach every desire with the same confidence and expectation of fulfillment. You will realize that you have been placing artificial limitations on yourself based on societal beliefs about what is realistic or achievable. But the frequency of miracles knows no such limitations. In this frequency, everything is possible because everything already exists. Your job is not to create what you desire. Your job is to tune into the version of reality where you already have it. This requires a complete shift in how you think about manifestation. You are not bringing something new into existence. You are selecting from infinite existing possibilities by aligning your consciousness with the reality you prefer. This may sound abstract, but it has practical implications for how you approach your desires. Instead of asking, how can I get what I want? You should ask, how would I feel if I already had what I want? Instead of wondering when your desire will manifest, you should assume it has already manifested in consciousness and allow physical reality to catch up. Instead of trying to figure out the steps to your goal, you should simply maintain the state of consciousness appropriate to your goal's fulfillment. The man or woman who has truly tuned into the frequency of miracles lives in a state of constant expectancy. They expect good things to happen because they know that their consciousness is broadcasting goodness. They expect opportunities to appear because they know they are aligned with the frequency of abundance. They expect love to come to them because they know they are radiating love through their assumptions. This expectancy is not desperate or anxious. It is calm and confident. It is the expectancy of someone who has planted a garden and knows that harvest time is coming. It is the expectancy of someone who has mailed a letter and knows it will reach its destination. It is the expectancy that comes from understanding law and trusting in its operation. As I bring these words to a close, I want you to understand that everything I have shared with you tonight is not theory. It is practical truth that you can begin applying immediately. Tonight, when you go to sleep, you have the opportunity to begin tuning into the frequency of miracles. Choose one desire, just one, and assume it is already fulfilled. Feel what it would be like to have it. Let that feeling fill you with joy and satisfaction. Fall asleep in that feeling, and let it be the last thing in your consciousness before you drift off to sleep. Do this night after night, regardless of what your daytime experience shows you. Persist in your assumption with the faith of the gardener who waters his unseen seed. Trust in the law of consciousness as you would trust in the law of gravity. Know that your faithfulness to your assumption must result in its manifestation in your world. Remember, you are not trying to get something you do not have. You are claiming something you already possess in consciousness. You are not hoping for a miracle. You are accepting the miracle that already exists. You are not waiting for change. You are acknowledging the change that has already taken place in the only realm where change can originate, your own wonderful human imagination. The frequency of miracles is broadcasting now. It has been broadcasting all your life, waiting for you to tune in. Tonight, you have the knowledge and the ability to access this frequency. Tomorrow, you can begin to see the evidence of your new assumption appearing in your world. Everything will change because everything has already changed in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. Tune into the frequency of miracles and let the miracle of your transformed life begin to unfold. The power is within you. The knowledge is now yours, and the time is now. Your new life is waiting for your assumption to claim it. Make that claim tonight, and everything will change. I tell you that every test of faith you encounter is not a punishment, not a sign of abandonment, but rather evidence of your imminent expansion into greater states of being. There is an intelligence within you, call it God. Call it your wonderful human imagination that knows your capacity far better than your conscious mind ever could. Tonight, I wish to share with you the profound truth that what appears as a test is actually preparation. What seems like delay is divine timing. What feels like loss is merely the clearing away of what can no longer serve your expanded state of consciousness. The nature of tests. Let us begin by examining what we mean by a test of faith. Many of you have been taught to view these tests as God's way of determining if you are worthy. This is not so. God, being your own wonderful human imagination, already knows all that you are and all that you can be. The test is not for God's information, but for your transformation. When you find yourself in circumstances where everything you believe seems challenged, where all external evidence contradicts your inner knowing, this is not God's doubt of you, but God's invitation to you. It is an invitation to rise above the world of effects and to stand firm in the world of cause, the world of imagination. Remember the words from Scripture. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This is not mere poetry. It is a precise description of the creative process. Faith is not blind hope. Faith is the actual substance, the spiritual material from which your desires are fashioned. When your faith is tested, the very substance of your creative power is being refined, purified, and strengthened. Just as gold must pass through fire to be purified, so must your faith pass through apparent contradictions to be strengthened. The law of assumption. I have taught you many times about the law of assumption. This law states that if you assume you are what you want to be and persist in that assumption, it must become fact in your world. This is not positive thinking. This is not mere affirmation. This is the creative power that spoke the worlds into being now operating through you. But what happens when you make your assumption and then face circumstances that seem to mock that assumption? What happens when you declare, I am wealthy, and then receive an unexpected bill? What happens when you declare, I am loved, and experience rejection? What happens when you declare, I am healthy, and symptoms persist? This, my dear friends, is the test. And how you respond to this test determines the speed and manner of your manifestation. Most people, when faced with contradictory evidence, abandon their assumption. They conclude that the law has failed, that their technique was flawed, or that they themselves are unworthy of their desire. But I tell you now, with the authority of experience, that this moment of contradiction is the most crucial point in your manifestation. When the world says no to your assumption, it is not a final answer. It is a question. Will you persist? Will you remain faithful to your imagination? Will you continue to sleep in the assumption of your wish fulfilled, even when all of your senses deny it? The biblical pattern. Look to Scripture, for this pattern is revealed throughout. Consider Joseph, who dreamed of greatness only to be sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and imprisoned. Were these not tests of his faith? Yet every seeming setback was actually a setup for the fulfillment of his vision. Consider Moses, who was called to lead his people to freedom only to face a hardened Pharaoh and a seemingly impassable Red Sea. Was this not a test of faith? Yet these obstacles became the stage upon which God's power was most dramatically revealed. Consider David, anointed as king only to spend years running for his life from Saul. Was this not a test of faith? Yet this wilderness period prepared him to rule with wisdom and compassion. Consider the pattern of the entire Bible. It is the story of promises made, promises seemingly contradicted, and promises ultimately fulfilled in ways far greater than initially imagined. The mechanics of testing. Now let me explain to you the mechanics of these tests, for understanding transforms blind endurance into conscious cooperation. When you set a new assumption, you are essentially declaring a new state of consciousness. You are saying, this is who I am now. But your physical reality, your body, your circumstances, your relationships, these are all reflections of who you have been. They are the harvest of seeds planted in the past. There is therefore an interval between the planting of your new assumption and the manifestation of its corresponding reality. This interval is not empty time. It is filled with transition, with the dissolving of the old and the formation of the new. During this interval, two things occur simultaneously. First, the conditions that no longer match your new state begin to dissolve. This often appears as loss, as challenge, as the removal of what you once thought essential. Second, the conditions that do match your new state begin to form. This often appears first as subtle changes, intuitions, synchronicities, the barely perceptible evidence that the new reality is taking shape. Most people fix their attention on what is dissolving and miss what is forming. They interpret the dissolution of the old as failure rather than as necessary clearing. This misinterpretation leads them to abandon their assumption just when it is beginning to take root. The test, then, is whether you will focus on what is dying or what is being born. Will you identify with the dissolving past or the emerging future? Will you be faithful to your senses or to your imagination? The scale of preparation. Now let us consider why these tests come and why they often seem proportional to the greatness of your desire. I tell you that the scale of the test is determined by the scale of the preparation required. If God is preparing you for something bigger, the preparation must match the expansion. Think of it this way. If you wish to move from a small apartment to a mansion, you would need to clear out possessions that wouldn't fit in your new home. You would need to adapt to new systems of maintenance. You would need to adjust to new neighbors and perhaps even a new concept of yourself as the owner of such a property. Similarly, if you are moving from a limited state of consciousness to an expanded one, there is preparation involved. Limiting beliefs must be cleared. Old habits must be released. Relationships that anchored you to your former self must either transform or dissolve. The greater the expansion, the more comprehensive the preparation. This is why those with the greatest visions often face the most significant challenges. It is not punishment. It is preparation. Consider the life of anyone who has achieved greatness in any field. Without exception, you will find periods of testing that preceded their breakthrough. These tests were not obstacles to their achievement. They were the very forge in which their achievement was fashioned. The rebirth process. What you are experiencing when your faith is tested is nothing less than a death and rebirth process. The limited self must die for the expanded self to be born. In John 12:24, Jesus expresses this principle beautifully. Very truly I tell you, unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Your old concept of self is the seed that must fall to the ground and die. The apparent loss, the confusion, the contradiction, these are all part of the dying process. But from this death comes multiplication, expansion, and abundance beyond what the single seed could contain. This is why Jesus also said, whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. He was not speaking of physical death, but of the surrender of limited identity for the sake of expanded being. When your faith is tested, you are being invited to lose your life, your limited concept of self, in order to find your life, your expanded awareness of who you truly are. The practical response to tests. How then should you respond when your faith is tested? Let me give you practical guidance. First, recognize the test for what it is: not punishment, not failure, but preparation and opportunity. This recognition alone will transform your experience. Second, double down on your assumption. When external evidence contradicts your inner knowing, that is precisely the moment to intensify your assumption. Do not merely maintain it, strengthen it. As darkness increases, so should your inner light. Third, look for the evidence of your assumption's fulfillment, no matter how small. There is always evidence if you train your eyes to see it. A synchronicity, a small improvement, a monadia, a moment of unexpected peace. These are the early sprouting of your manifestation. Fourth, use your imagination more vividly and more frequently. If you have been imagining your desire once a day, begin to do it 3 times. If you have been seeing it vaguely, begin to add detail. Make the colors brighter, the sounds clearer, the feelings more intense. 5th, detach from the how and the timeline. The test often comes in the form of manifestation unfolding in a way you did not expect or on a schedule you did not anticipate. Your job is not to dictate the path or the timing, but to maintain the end, the state of wish fulfilled. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, find the gratitude in the present moment. Thanksgiving is the highest form of faith. To give thanks before the manifestation is visible is to truly live from the end. It is the ultimate declaration that your assumption is more real to you than your current circumstances. The greater purpose being prepared. Now let us consider what it means that God is preparing you for something bigger. What is this something bigger that awaits beyond the test? I tell you that the something bigger is not merely an improved circumstance. It is not just more money, better health, or a loving relationship, though it may include all of these. The something bigger is an expanded state of consciousness. God, your own wonderful human imagination is preparing you to occupy a state where you know yourself as the creator of your reality, where you move through life with the confident expectation of good, where you understand that external circumstances are not causes but effects of your inner state. This expanded consciousness is what Jesus referred to when he said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you." It is a state where you no longer live in fearful reaction to the world, but in creative relationship with it. It is a state where you understand that all power has been given unto you in heaven and earth. The tests come not to determine if you deserve this state, but to develop in you the capacity to maintain it. For what good would it do to place you in an expanded state if you lack the spiritual musculature to remain there? The pattern in your own life. I invite you now to look at your own life and identify the pattern of tests and preparation. For this pattern has been unfolding since your birth, and once recognized, it becomes a source of tremendous confidence. Think of a significant manifestation in your life or relationship, a career achievement, a personal transformation. Now look back at the period preceding its appearance. Did you not experience tests of your faith? Did you not face circumstances that seemed to contradict your desire? Yet here you are, having moved through those tests into manifestation. The very fact that you have manifested anything at all is proof that you have already passed tests of faith. Now apply this understanding to your current tests. If you have manifested before, can you not manifest again? If you have moved through tests before, can you not move through them now? The God who tested and prepared you then is testing and preparing you now. And the something bigger that awaits you is as much greater than your current desire as your current reality is greater than what you once thought possible. The law of persistent assumption. I wish to share with you now what I call the law of persistent assumption, for it is the key to moving through tests of faith into manifestation. This law states any assumption persisted in, despite contradiction, must eventually harden into fact. Notice the crucial phrase, despite contradiction. This is where most fail. They make an assumption but abandon it at the first sign of contradiction. The law never had a chance to operate because persistence was lacking. But those who understand the mechanics of manifestation know that contradiction is not denial, it is opportunity. Every contradiction is an invitation to persist more firmly in your assumption. When you persist despite contradiction, you are doing something remarkable. You are choosing your imagination over your senses. You are declaring that what you see in imagination is more real, more substantial, more trustworthy than what you see with your physical eyes. This is precisely what Scripture means by walking by faith, not by sight. It is not blind optimism. It is clear-eyed recognition that imagination precedes and shapes physical reality. The test reveals whether you truly believe this. Do you believe that your imagination creates reality, or do you believe that reality dictates what you can imagine? Your response to contradiction answers this question. The biblical promise. Let me remind you of the promise given in Scripture, for it applies directly to these tests of faith. In 1 Corinthians 10:13 we read, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." The word translated as temptation here can also be translated as test or trial. The promise is clear. You will never be tested beyond your capacity to endure, and within every test is embedded the means of its transcendence. This is why I tell you that the test itself contains the preparation. The very circumstances that seem to challenge your faith are actually strengthening it if you respond with persistent assumption rather than with doubt and abandonment. The way out is not escape from the test, but transcendence through it. It is the discovery within yourself of resources you did not know you possessed: patience, courage, creativity, and most of all, an unshakable knowing that what you imagine must manifest. The evidence in your senses. There comes a moment in every manifestation when the evidence begins to appear in your sensory world. This is a crucial juncture, for many stumble even here. When the first evidence appears, it rarely comes as a complete manifestation. More often it comes as a sign, a partial fulfillment, a hint of what is to come. Those who understand the law recognize these signs and give thanks for them, knowing that they are proof of the law's operation. But those who do not understand the law often dismiss these signs as coincidence or as too little too late. They continue to focus on what is still lacking rather than on what is beginning to appear. I tell you that the first evidence, no matter how small, is as significant as the full manifestation. It is confirmation that the bridge of incidents is being built between your current reality and your desired state. When you acknowledge and give thanks for this evidence, you accelerate the manifestation. You are declaring to your subconscious mind, to the God within you, that you recognize and appreciate the creative process at work. This thanksgiving does not come from a place of lack. Thank you for this little bit, but I still need more. It comes from a place of fulfillment. Thank you for this outer confirmation of what I have known inwardly all along. The ultimate test and preparation. Now I wish to share with you what I consider the ultimate test and preparation, the one that underlies all others. The ultimate test is this: can you see God in all things? Can you recognize that every circumstance, every person, every apparent obstacle is God in disguise, molding you, shaping you, preparing you? This is not abstract theology. This is practical spirituality. For when you truly see God in all things, you cease to fight against circumstances and begin to work with them. You cease to resist what is and begin to discover the gift within it. This does not mean passive acceptance of conditions you do not desire. It means active engagement with the divine purpose within those conditions. It means asking not, why is this happening to me? But what is this preparing me for? When you ask this better question, answers begin to appear. You discover that the difficult colleague is teaching you patience, that the financial constraint is teaching you creativity, that the health challenge is teaching you to value each day. These lessons are not incidental to your manifestation. They are integral to it. For the something bigger that God is preparing you for is not just a better circumstance, but a better you, more aware, more grateful, more aligned with your true nature as a created being. The role of surrender. There is a paradox at the heart of manifestation that becomes clear when we understand tests of faith. The paradox is this: to manifest what you desire, you must surrender the need for it. This is not contradiction, it is completion. You must be clear about what you desire and firm in your assumption of its fulfillment. But you must also release attachment to particular forms and timelines. Surrender is not giving up on your desire. It is giving up the limitations you have placed upon how that desire can manifest. It is trusting that the God within you knows better than your conscious mind how to bring about your good in ways that bless all concerned. This surrender is itself a test of faith. Can you trust the process even when it unfolds in unexpected ways? Can you recognize that the apparent delay or detour might be the most direct route to your manifestation from a higher perspective? Those who master this surrender discover a profound truth. What manifests often exceeds what they imagined. The relationship is more fulfilling, the career more satisfying, the solution more elegant than what they had consciously conceived. This is because your conscious desire is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it lies your desire for growth, for meaning, for connection, for alignment with your higher self. When you surrender, you allow the fulfillment of these deeper desires alongside your conscious ones. The community of faith. I wish to touch now on the importance of community during tests of faith, for we are not meant to walk this path alone. When your faith is tested, there is great value in connecting with others who understand the law and are practicing it. Their understanding supports yours. Their faith reinforces yours. Their testimonies remind you of what is possible. This is why I stand before you tonight, sharing these principles. This is why we gather together. We are creating a community of faith, a collective field of consciousness that makes it easier for each of us to maintain our individual assumptions. In the presence of doubt, doubt flourishes. In the presence of faith, faith flourishes. Choose carefully, therefore, the company you keep during times of testing. Seek out those who will support your assumption, who will remind you of your plan till you momentarily forget it. And when you are strong, be that support for others. Share your testimonies, not to boast, but to bolster faith. Not to set yourself above, but to demonstrate what is possible for all. The eternal nature of the process. As we near the conclusion of our time together, I wish to share one more truth about tests of faith and preparation. It is this process never ends. It is not a one-time event, but an eternal unfolding. You will never reach a point where tests cease, where faith is no longer required, where preparation is complete. This is not because you are lacking or because the law is flawed. It is because expansion is the nature of life itself. As you successfully move through one test, you will set intentions for greater manifestations, which will require greater preparation, which will involve new tests. This is not a burden, it is a blessing. It is the mechanism through which infinite being experiences itself in ever-expanding ways through you. Those who resent this process remain stuck in cycles of frustration. Those who embrace it discover joy in the journey itself, not just in the destinations reached along the way. The invitation before you. And so, my dear friends, I leave you with this invitation. See the tests of faith in your life right now as evidence not of failure, but of imminent expansion. Recognize that these very circumstances that seem to challenge your faith are actually building your capacity for greater manifestation. Do not ask for easier tests, ask for stronger faith. Do not seek to avoid preparation, seek to embrace it fully, knowing that it precedes manifestation as surely as spring precedes summer. When doubt arises, and it will remind yourself that doubt too is part of the process. It is the final resistance of the old self before surrendering to the new. Welcome it, acknowledge it, and then gently return to your assumption. Remember that you are not alone in this process. The same God that tests your faith provides the strength to endure it. The same imagination that conceived your desire contains the power to manifest it. Above all, know that what awaits you on the other side of these tests is not merely the fulfillment of a particular desire, but an expanded awareness of who you truly are, a created being made in the image of God, with all power in heaven and earth given unto you. This is the something bigger for which you are being prepared. This is the prize that makes every test worthwhile. This is the truth that sets you free. And now, in the silence of your own being, I invite you to feel the reality of your desire as already fulfilled. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the love that accompanies this fulfillment. Let this feeling sink deep into your consciousness, knowing that as you assume this state faithfully, persistently, despite all contradiction, it must harden into fact in your world. For this is the law, and the law is certain. This is the promise, and the promise is sure. This is the truth, and the truth has set you free. Thank you, and God bless you all. Let us begin with the first line: I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. This declaration is a testament to your true nature. When you utter these words with conviction, you are not asking for these qualities to manifest in your life, you are claiming them as your birthright. You see, in the realm of imagination, there is no separation between you and these divine attributes. As you repeat this line, feel the wholeness that permeates every fiber of your being. Experience the perfection that is your natural state. Allow the strength and power to course through your veins, knowing that you are one with the infinite creative force of the universe. Feel the love that radiates from your heart, touching every aspect of your life. Embrace the harmony that brings all elements of your existence into perfect balance. And lastly, let the happiness bubble up from within, for it is your true essence. Now, let us move on to the second line. Everything is working out for my highest good. This statement is a recognition of the divine order that governs all of creation. When you affirm this truth, you are aligning yourself with the cosmic flow of life. You are declaring your trust in the perfect unfolding of events, even when appearances may suggest otherwise. Consider for a moment the tapestry of your life. Each thread, each experience, whether perceived as good or bad, is woven together to create a masterpiece of unparalleled beauty. By affirming that everything is working out for your highest good, you are surrendering to the wisdom of your higher self, the God within you that knows the grand design of your existence. As you repeat this line, feel a sense of peace wash over you. Release all anxiety about the future, all regrets about the past. Know that every circumstance, every challenge, every triumph is conspiring to bring you to your highest expression of self. Trust in the process, for the universe is always moving you towards your greatest good. The third line we shall explore is, I can be what I will to be. This powerful affirmation is a declaration of your given ability to shape your reality. It is a recognition of the creative power that lies dormant within you, waiting to be awakened by your conscious direction. When you state, I can be what I will to be, you are tapping into the infinite potential that is your true nature. You are acknowledging that your current state of being is not fixed, but rather, it is a malleable substance that can be molded by the power of your imagination and belief. As you repeat this line, feel the limitless possibilities opening up before you. See yourself stepping into the shoes of the person you aspire to be. Feel the confidence, the wisdom, the love, and the success of that version of yourself. Know that this ideal is not some distant future possibility, but a present reality in the realm of imagination, waiting to be brought forth into your physical experience. And now we come to the fourth and final line: it is done. These three simple words carry immense power when uttered with absolute faith. It is done is the ultimate affirmation of faith in the creative process. It is a declaration that what you have imagined and felt to be true in your consciousness must inevitably manifest in your outer world. When you say, it is done, you are closing the door on doubt and uncertainty. You are stepping into the knowing that your desire is already reality in the spiritual realm, and it is only a matter of time before it appears in your physical experience. This statement is the period at the end of your declaration, the final seal on your intention. As you repeat, it is done, feel the relief and satisfaction of knowing that your desire is already yours. Experience the gratitude for its fulfillment. even before you see any physical evidence. Live in the end, as if your desire has already come to pass, for in truth it has. Now, my dear friends, let us delve deeper into the profound impact these 4 lines can have on your life when embraced fully and practiced consistently. Remember, the words themselves are not magical. It is the state of consciousness they evoke that holds the true power. When you declare, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy, you are not merely reciting a positive affirmation. You are making a bold claim about your true nature. This statement challenges you to rise above the limitations of your current self-concept and embrace your divine essence. Consider for a moment the implications of truly believing and embodying these qualities. How would your life change if you walked through each day knowing, without a shadow of doubt, that you are whole and complete? How would your relationships transform if you approached every interaction from a place of perfection and love? How would your work evolve if you tapped into your innate strength and power? The beauty of this affirmation lies in its comprehensiveness. It addresses every aspect of your being. Your wholeness, your perfection, your strength, your power, your capacity for love, your inner harmony, and your inherent state of happiness. By claiming these qualities as your own, you are aligning yourself with the highest version of yourself, the self that exists in the realm of pure potential. As you continue to repeat this line, allow yourself to feel the truth of these words resonating in every cell of your body. Let them seep into your subconscious mind, replacing old beliefs of lack, inadequacy, or unworthiness. For it is from this elevated state of consciousness that you will begin to attract experiences that mirror your newfound self-image. Moving on to our second line, everything is working out for my highest good. Let us explore the profound shift in perspective this affirmation can bring about. In a world that often seems chaotic and unpredictable, this statement is an anchor of faith and trust in the divine order of the universe. When you truly embrace the belief that everything is working out for your highest good, you liberate yourself from the need to control every aspect of your life. You release the anxiety that comes from trying to force outcomes or manipulate circumstances to fit your limited understanding of what is best for you. This affirmation invites you to adopt a broader perspective, one that recognizes that your higher self, or the God within you, has a grander vision for your life than your conscious mind can comprehend. It challenges you to find a silver lining in every situation, to seek the lesson or the opportunity for growth in every challenge. Imagine how your approach to life would change if you genuinely believed that every experience, whether perceived as positive or negative, was ultimately serving your highest good. How would you handle setbacks or disappointments? How would you approach uncertain situations or difficult decisions? By affirming that everything is working out for your highest good, you are choosing to trust in the perfect unfolding of your life's journey. You are acknowledging that there is a divine intelligence at work, orchestrating events and circumstances in ways that will ultimately lead to your greatest fulfillment and growth. As you continue to repeat this line, allow yourself to relax into a state of deep trust. Feel the weight of worry and anxiety lift from your shoulders. Embrace a sense of excited anticipation for the good that is constantly flowing into your life, even when it comes disguised as challenge or change. Now, let us delve deeper into the third line, I can be what I will to be. This powerful affirmation is a direct challenge to any limiting beliefs you may hold about yourself and your potential. It is a bold declaration of your inherent power to shape your reality and become the person you aspire to be. When you state, I can be what I will to be, you are acknowledging that your current state of being is not fixed or predetermined. You are recognizing that you have the power to consciously choose and create your identity, your capabilities, and your circumstances. This affirmation invites you to step into the realm of infinite possibilities. It challenges you to dream big, to envision the highest version of your claim that vision as your present reality. It is a reminder that you are not bound by your past experiences, your current circumstances, or the opinions of others. Consider for a moment the person you truly desire to be. Perhaps you aspire to be more confident, more loving, more successful, or more creative. As you repeat, I can be what I will to be, see yourself embodying these qualities. Feel the sensation of being that person right here and now, in this present moment. The power of this affirmation lies in its ability to bridge the gap between your current self and your ideal self. By declaring that you can be what you will to be, you are giving yourself permission to grow, to change, to evolve. You are opening yourself up to new possibilities and opportunities that align with your desired state of being. As you continue to work with this affirmation, pay attention to the shifts that occur in your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Notice how you begin to make choices that align with the person you are becoming. Observe how opportunities arise that support your new self-image. And finally, we come to the fourth line, it is done. These three simple words carry immense power when uttered with absolute conviction. It is done is the ultimate affirmation of faith in the creative process. It is a declaration that what you have imagined and felt to be true in your consciousness must inevitably manifest in your outer world. When you say, it is done, you are making a profound statement about the nature of reality. You are acknowledging that creation is finished, that all possibilities already exist in the spiritual realm. Your job is not to make something happen, but rather to align your consciousness with the reality you desire to experience. This affirmation challenges you to live in the end, to adopt the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you declare it is done, you are stepping into the knowing that your desire is already a fact in the spiritual realm. And it is only a matter of time before it appears in your physical experience. Imagine for a moment how you would feel if your heart's desire had already manifested. Would you feel relief, joy, gratitude? As you repeat, it is done, allow yourself to fully experience these emotions. For it is this feeling that is the secret to bringing your desires into physical form. The power of it is done lies in its ability to shift your focus from lack to abundance, from wanting to having. When you truly feel that it is done, you release the anxiety and desperation that often accompany unfulfilled desires. You enter a state of calm knowing, of peaceful expectancy. As you work with these four powerful lines, remember that they are not mere words to be recited mechanically. They are states of consciousness to be lived and experienced. Each line builds upon the others, creating a powerful foundation for manifestation. When you declare, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy, you are aligning yourself with your true divine nature. From this elevated state of being, you naturally trust that everything is working out for my highest good. This trust opens you up to the realization that I can be what I will to be, unleashing your creative power. And finally, by affirming it is done, you seal your intention with unshakable faith. Now let us explore how these four lines can be applied practically in your daily life to attract everything you've been waiting for. Remember, the key is not just to say these words, but to feel their truth in every fiber of your being. Begin each day by standing in front of a mirror and looking deeply into your own eyes. As you gaze at your reflection, say with conviction, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Feel these qualities awakening within you. Allow them to radiate from your being. Carry this feeling with you as you go about your day, letting it inform your interactions and decisions. As you face the various challenges and opportunities that arise throughout your day, remind yourself, everything is working out for my highest good. When you encounter a difficult situation, instead of reacting with frustration or anxiety, pause and repeat this line. Feel the peace and trust that come with knowing that all is unfolding perfectly for your growth and evolution. When you find yourself doubting your abilities or feeling stuck in old patterns, affirm, I can be what I will to be. Use this line as a reminder of your infinite potential. If you aspire to be more confident, act as if you already possess unwavering self-assurance. If you desire to be more successful, carry yourself with the dignity and poise of someone who has already achieved great things. And finally, as you set your intentions and work towards your goals, seal your efforts with the powerful affirmation, it is done. Whether you're visualizing your desired outcome during meditation or taking inspired action towards your dreams, conclude by feeling the relief and gratitude of knowing that your desire is already fulfilled in the spiritual realm. Remember, my dear friends, that consistency is key when working with these 4 lines. Make them a part of your daily spiritual practice. Repeat them upon waking and before sleeping. Write them in your journal. Meditate on their meaning. Most importantly, strive to embody the states of consciousness they represent. As you consistently apply these 4 lines in your life, you will begin to notice subtle shifts in your perception and experience. You may find yourself feeling more peaceful and centered, even in the face of challenges. You may observe synchronicities and opportunities aligning with your desires. You may experience a greater sense of flow and ease in your daily life. These shifts are signs that you are successfully aligning your consciousness with the reality you wish to experience. They are indications that you are becoming a vibrational match to your desires, attracting experiences that resonate with your new state of being. However, it's important to remember that manifestation is not always instantaneous. While some desires may manifest quickly, others may take time to unfold in your physical reality. This is where your faith and persistence come into play. Continue to live in the state of wish fulfilled, regardless of appearances. Trust in the perfect timing of the universe. If you find yourself struggling with doubt or impatience, return to these 4 lines. Use them as a reset button for your consciousness. Allow them to lift you back into the state of knowing and trust. For it is from this elevated state that you become a powerful co-creator with the universe. As you work with these 4 lines, you may also find that your desires begin to shift and evolve. As you align more closely with your true divine nature, you may discover that some of the things you thought you wanted no longer hold the same appeal. This is a natural part of the growth process. Trust in this evolution of your desires, for it is leading you towards your highest good. Remember, the ultimate goal is not just to acquire things or achieve specific outcomes. The true purpose of these 4 lines is to awaken you to your own divine nature, to help you realize your oneness with the creative force of the universe. As you embody the consciousness these lines represent, you will find that your outer world naturally aligns with your inner state of being. Now let us delve even deeper into the transformative power of these 4 lines. Consider how they can be applied to various aspects of your life, your relationships, your career, your health, and your spiritual growth. In the realm of relationships, begin by affirming, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. This declaration reminds you that you are complete in yourself. You do not need another person to feel whole or worthy. From this place of self-love and completeness, you naturally attract relationships that reflect and enhance your divine nature. As you navigate the ups and downs of relationships, remind yourself, everything is working out for my highest good. This affirmation helps you maintain perspective during conflicts or challenges. It allows you to see each interaction as an opportunity for growth and deeper connection. If you desire to improve your relationships or attract a specific kind of partnership, affirm, I can be what I will to be. See yourself as the ideal partner you wish to be. Embody the qualities of love, understanding, and compassion that you desire in your relationships. As you become this person in your imagination, you will naturally begin to show up differently in your interactions. Finally, when you have a specific vision for your ideal relationship, seal it with the affirmation, it is done. Feel the joy and gratitude of already being in this perfect partnership. Live each day from this state of fulfillment, knowing that your outer reality must inevitably align with your inner experience. In the area of career and finances, start by declaring, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. This affirmation reminds you that your worth is not determined by your job title or bank balance. You are inherently valuable and deserving of abundance. As you face career challenges or financial uncertainties, affirm, everything is working out for my highest good. This statement helps you maintain faith during periods of transition or apparent setbacks. It allows you to see each experience as a stepping stone towards your ultimate success. If you aspire to advance in your career or increase your financial abundance, state with conviction, I can be what I will to be. Visualize yourself in your ideal role, doing work that you love and that contributes value to the world. Feel the satisfaction of financial freedom and the joy of using your talents to their fullest potential. When you have a clear vision of your career goals or desired financial state, Affirm, it is done. Experience the relief and gratitude of already having achieved this success. Allow this feeling to inform your actions and decisions in your current work situation. Regarding your health and well-being, begin each day by affirming, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. This declaration aligns you with the truth of your perfect, divine health. It reminds you that your natural state is one of vitality and well-being. When facing health challenges or working towards specific fitness goals, remind yourself everything is working out for my highest good. This affirmation helps you maintain a positive outlook and trust in your body's innate healing abilities. It allows you to see each health-related experience as an opportunity for growth and greater self-awareness. If you desire to improve your health or achieve a specific wellness goal, state with conviction, I can be what I will to be. Visualize yourself embodying vibrant health and vitality. Feel the energy, strength, and vitality coursing through your body. Allow this vision to inspire your daily choices and habits. When you have a clear picture of your ideal state of health, affirm it is done. Experience the joy and gratitude of already possessing perfect health. Let this feeling guide your actions, leading you to make choices that align with your vision of well-being. In the realm of spiritual growth, start by declaring, I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. This affirmation aligns you with your true spiritual nature. It reminds you that you are already one with the divine, perfect and complete as you are. As you navigate your spiritual journey, with its moments of clarity and confusion, affirm, everything is working out for my highest good. This statement helps you trust in the process of awakening, even when the path seems unclear. It allows you to see each experience, whether blissful or challenging, as a valuable part of your spiritual evolution. If you aspire to deepen your spiritual connection or develop specific spiritual gifts, state, I can be what I will to be. Visualize yourself as the spiritually awakened being you desire to become. Feel the peace, wisdom, and love that flow through you in this enlightened state. When you have a clear vision of your spiritual path, affirm it is done. Experience the profound peace and unity of already being in complete alignment with your highest self. Allow this state of consciousness to inform your thoughts, words, and actions in your daily life. Now, my dear friends, as we near the conclusion of our exploration of these 4 powerful lines, let us reflect on their collective impact. These statements, when fully embraced and consistently applied, have the power to revolutionize your entire experience of life. By affirming your inherent wholeness and perfection, trusting in the benevolent unfolding of your life, recognizing your power to shape your reality, and sealing your intentions with unwavering faith, you are setting in motion a profound transformation. You are aligning yourself with the creative power of the universe, becoming a conscious co-creator of your life experience. As you work with these 4 lines, you may find that your entire perspective on life begins to shift. You may start to see challenges as opportunities, setbacks as setups for comebacks. You may discover a deep well of inner peace that remains undisturbed by external circumstances. You may experience a growing sense of connection to all of life, recognizing the divine essence in yourself and others. Remember, the power of these lines lies not in the words themselves, but in the states of consciousness they evoke. As you repeat them, strive to feel their truth in every cell of your body. Let them saturate your being, transforming your thoughts, emotions, and actions from the inside out. Be patient and compassionate with yourself as you embark on this journey of transformation. Old habits of thought and belief may resist change at first. Doubts may arise. When this happens, simply return to these 4 lines. Use them as a compass to realign yourself with your highest truth. As you consistently apply these principles, you will begin to attract experiences that match your new vibration. You may find that opportunities aligned with your desires seem to appear effortlessly. Relationships may become more harmonious. Your work may take on new meaning and purpose. Your health may improve. Your spiritual connection may deepen. However, remember that the ultimate goal is not just to acquire things or achieve specific outcomes. The true purpose of working with these 4 lines is to awaken you to your own divine nature, to help you realize your oneness with the creative force of the universe, As you embody the consciousness these lines represent, you will find that your outer world naturally aligns with your inner state of being. In closing, I invite you to make these 4 lines a central part of your daily spiritual practice. Begin and end each day by affirming them. Write them in your journal. Meditate on their meaning. Most importantly, strive to live from the state of consciousness they represent. I am whole, perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Everything is working out for my highest good. I can be what I will to be. It is done. Let these words be the foundation upon which you build a life of joy, abundance, and fulfillment. Let them be the keys that unlock the infinite potential within you. For as you align your consciousness with these truths, you become a powerful magnet, attracting everything you've been waiting for and more. Remember, my dear friends, that you are the operant power in your world. Your consciousness is the only reality. What you perceive in your outer world is but a reflection of your inner state. By mastering your inner world through the consistent application of these 4 lines, you gain mastery over your entire life experience. Go forth now with these powerful tools at your disposal. Use them wisely and consistently. Trust in the process even when results are not immediately visible. Have faith in the perfect unfolding of your desires. For as you maintain this elevated state of consciousness, your world must inevitably conform to your vision. You are divine beings, creators of your own reality. Embrace this truth, live from this knowing, and watch as your life transforms in miraculous ways. The power is within you. The time is now. Your desired reality awaits your conscious recognition and acceptance of it. So speak these lines with conviction, feel their truth in your heart, and step boldly into the magnificent life that is your birthright. For in doing so, you not only transform your own experience, but you contribute to the elevation of collective consciousness, creating a ripple effect of positivity and possibility that extends far beyond your individual life. May these 4 lines be a beacon of light on your journey, guiding you always towards your highest good and grandest vision for your life. Trust in their power, for they are not mere words, but keys to unlocking the infinite potential that resides within you. And so it is.